Good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to week one and our content presentation regarding the parts of week one that are important for you to take forward. You will notice that in the wiki there is a Google document that you can link into, and during these presentations I will ask you to pause the recording so that you can go in and answer some of those questions, respond to some of those prompts that are there. And so as we get started in this course, it's important for us to start with that foundation. And some of those foundations sometimes are just the meanings of words. And so on that Google document, I want you to go in there. You should go into the wiki where you find this video, and you should find a document link that will open the document for you so that you can type into it. So our first question here that I want you to respond to, the first prompt, is to complete the statement, educational technology is. So if you'd stop the recording and make that entry into the Google document. Getting a foundation in a program is essential, and what those words mean is essential to what we are. Now, in the older version of the textbook that we're now using, the authors say that educational technology is any technology used by educators in support of teaching and the learning process. And so this is a way to look at that, but the pieces of what technology is, are we only talking about hardware and software for technology? Well, educational technology, the field, defines it much broader than just hardware. And the field defines it as something that includes processes and instructional design models and organizational management. So it's really processes, ideas, and objects like hardware and software. So it's just not confined to hardware and software. And like all graduate students, many years ago I had to argue about what my definition was and what it meant. But in the sense of what we are trying to get you to see here is that technology is more than just the hardware and software, the common things that we think technology is, but rather is we are trying to support learning, and we support learning through instructional strategies. We do it through management models, and we also do it through leadership models, as well as hardware and software. This course would not be possible for those of you scattered across, in fact, even across the world, without some technology to make that occur. But really, it's the thinking and the processing and the learning that you are going to be doing with this is where we are trying to get you to see. We're trying to get you to see this differently than you have before, and how you can apply these ideas in learning settings. Now, our program and many programs have been defined by a group called ISTE, the International Society for Technology in Education. ISTE has provided some standards. There's some standards for students, there are standards for administrators, and there are standards for teachers. So the website is ISTE.org, and that is where you can find many resources, and members of that organization can get into their website and get research articles. You can subscribe to research journals, which are more expensive than the basic membership, but it's something we would encourage you to at least take a look at and consider in regards to your professional development, and that is ISTE.org, as they are the leaders in implementing hardware and software and techniques and learning strategies and management strategies in classrooms. The local group here in the state is known as ICE, the Illinois Computing Educators. There's their website, iceberg.org. And we would encourage you, if you are in Illinois, to become involved with this group. Besides having a large meeting in the late winter each year in St. Charles, Illinois, They have smaller groups, local groups, so if you're scattered across the state, north or south, east or west, there are local chapters of ICE that allow you to participate in mini conferences, usually on Saturdays, so they don't conflict with your teaching obligations, and they are worthwhile to become involved in. So the national group, the international group, usually has a very large conference every summer, and the local group, along with its local chapters, has programs on Saturdays, but their large state conference is in the late winter. So we would encourage you to become involved with ICE, and certainly if you are available to attend their conference, they have a 3 or 4 day conference there in late February. It is worth your while to attend at least for a day to see what's going on. Many of this conference, in fact, coincides with many teacher institutes on Friday, the last Friday of the month, February, and so it would be worthwhile, certainly for you to, if possible, to be part of this program that Illinois Computing Educators has. Now, this is an interesting picture I want you to respond to. As we see students who have devices, whether they are their own that they've brought in or they are supplied by the school district. Notice this group of students, I picked this picture up from one of the people I follow on Twitter, and I noticed that they have this digital device in front of them, and there's obviously going on something in front of the room. 2 of the students on the right are looking toward what looks like the front of the room, and they have paper in front of them. And so my question for you is, if I have content in digital form, why would I want to do this in my classroom? Why would I want to have students copy things from the screen to paper? What value does that have for me? So if you would go to the Google Doc and respond to this prompt with the picture, why would I want to do this in my classroom? I have some questions about why we would want to do that. So please stop the recording and make that entry. Now, my concern for this is, if I can offer an observation. Largely what schools have done is they have taken textbooks, put them online, spent a lot of money to do that, spent a lot of money for professional development, and then students then are given worksheets to fill out. So nothing really has changed. We've spent a lot of money, we have spent a lot of professional development time showing teachers just how to use the device, how to turn it on, how it works, where to find the content, how to connect to the Wi-Fi in the classroom, what to do if it doesn't work, etc. It puts a lot of pressure, it puts on the teachers, but yet the activity within the classroom doesn't change. We'll talk more and more about this, present some other ideas to you throughout this 8-week course. But I find this very challenging for us to do the same thing over again. Well, now there are some models out there that talk about substitution. We can substitute this, but this takes a lot of effort just to do the same old stuff, to buy the equipment, to staff develop it, and then to put it in the classroom, to support it with perhaps more staff, more technical people, more technical processes that do cost money, and then have our students fill out worksheets. So I continue to ask this big, broad question whenever I work with new students, is why would I want to do this in my classroom? I hope that after we're together for a while, you will begin to look at these things and look at them differently than having devices and giving out worksheets. So whatever you answered there for question 2, it really, to me, doesn't matter. I'm trying to see where you are with this concept of hardware and software, every kid having one, and we can work in our conversation from that point. This course is looking at some of the processes. You will be looking at some hardware and software. Your first assignment is about taking Microsoft Word and using it differently. What we are looking at in this in this course, besides looking at how to do a podcast and how to make a video and how to use PowerPoint differently and how to use Microsoft Word differently, what we're asking you to consider here is a way to look at learning. And in this first approach, we look at it in the sense of instructional or learning theories, constructivism, looking at Bloom's taxonomy, looking at multiple intelligences, looking at how the brain processes information. These are the learning theories. They're descriptive. They're descriptive in nature. They try to describe what learning is like. In particular, Gardner tries to tell us and demonstrate for us these different intelligences that students have, that they are smart about themselves. They're smart artistically, and so in these other different ways. These are instructional. These are learning theories. These are descriptions of the different ways that people can learn and where their intelligences are strong. But yet these individuals don't always offer means of instruction. And in this sense is where we design instructional models. There are some there listed for you. And what we try to do with those is give you step-by-step approaches. Some of you may work in a school district or a school where the principal or the central office dictates the manner in which your classroom is structured, such as with Madeline Hunter. Or there are other models. In particular, principals will say, in this school we're going to use this model of instruction. These are step-by-step designs that they're recipes in a sense, and they're recipes in the sense by which instructional designers put content together. And we are going to be using an instructional design model in this course to get you to think differently about learning and to get you to think differently about instruction. And we teach it in a step-by-step, 6 steps in this process. It is commonly referred to as the dynamic instructional design model. It has 6 steps. We document it in 6 steps. And when you think about this, it's a process that you go through. If you were to get a phone call from a parent and say, you know, I like what you're doing in your classroom, my child loves your classroom, and I would like for you to come and speak to a group, a civic group that I belong to tell them about what you are doing in your classroom. Well, first thing you're going to want to know is who these people are. Who are they? Secondly, you're going to want to know what we're talking about, the objectives. Where am I doing this? Is this some great big auditorium? Am I in front of 1,000 people? Or is it nice and cozy, 15 people? So the learning environment. You're going to think about what you can do then to demonstrate to those individuals what you want to tell about your classroom. And then you're going to use some technologies, perhaps. Perhaps you're going to talk to the principal and take a video projector and a laptop with you to make your presentation. Or maybe there's all of that is supplied for you. And all during this time, you're going to be getting feedback from your audience. Feedback from the person who invited you at the end. And you're going to be getting some informal feedback through body language, through their questioning. Are they paying attention to you? Are they texting on their phone? And so we use these instructional design models already, although we don't formalize them with ourselves. It's something that we go through. Like each year we want to know who our kids are. How did they do last year? How's my classroom? How am I going to take my classroom this year and maybe set it up differently than I have in the past? So we think about this in very informal ways. And yet in this course we're going to very formalize it for you and give you this foundation that you need, because you can apply instructional design models throughout this program. You can apply these instructional design models throughout this course, throughout your own practice. You can instructional design components of what you are doing, not only with your students, which we would highly encourage, but in the end you can do this with other other faculty members to think about the student learning in very precise ways, because these models focus on learning. They focus on learning. They don't necessarily focus on teaching, and that's one of the pieces that we're going to make a shift for you. In education school, we are largely talked about the importance of what the teacher does. The teacher is absolutely essential in this, but it's really not about our behaviors. While we get evaluated by the principal and other people, what really happens is the learning. And so instructional technology, educational technology, really begins to shift the focus from the instructor, and it shifts the focus to the student for learning. And the teacher is vitally important in giving evaluation, of setting learning objectives, and we use different strategies to get our students there. So this is very, very essential and part of all 8 weeks of this course, and ultimately you're going to redesign something that you're currently using. Here's my early advice to you. If you have been wanting to rework some content of a course, of a unit, perhaps that you could be using in January or February, I would highly encourage you to bring that into this course and use your project time for this course to revise your unit that you have been using with your students, and you've been wanting to revise it but really have not had the opportunity time-wise because of all the obligations that you have. Here's an opportunity to bring it into this course. And so think about this for moving forward during the next 8 weeks about a project that you would like to redo. I've had a student carry these projects into a couple of courses I've worked with them on, constantly revising them and updating them depending upon the value, depending upon what they're doing in the course, the topics of the course, and how they want to apply it to their students. So you can get some real good planning time, some planning time with feedback. That is part of this. Course. So it is very structured planning time and a lot of feedback about that planning time. One of the things I want to show to you, and just do this very briefly, is how to work better with images. And those of you who maybe have taken EDT 6040 are aware of this already. But let me just point out this piece of software that we have. We have a piece of software for image editing that is free, and I would encourage you to use this with your students, because you don't, for most pieces, you don't need, for most ideas with students, you don't need these components, Photoshop and such, that cost lots and lots of money. A couple of things about images, if I can work backwards. It is very, very important in this course and throughout this program that you begin to give credit for your images. Images are not free, they belong to people, and just the same way that we will give credit to someone's ideas, we will give credit to people's images. And so giving credit, giving attribution, not only to ideas, and put quotes around them when we actually take the literal word. Here we are taking the literal picture, borrowing it from someone. It is important for us to give that credit. It's important for us to model this to our students. It's important for us to do this in this course, is that whenever we are borrowing, using images, that we give them credit. And I give them credit with a URL of the place where the picture came from. So please do that in this course. The other piece is notice my slides. My slides use a blue background. There are visual reasons for that, and that's very simple and very plain. I then use high contrast text like white, color, yellow, and orange to give contrast to the background. Why a blue background? Because it has no red in it. It is a background called true blue. And I encourage you, I want you, in any kind of presentation that you do for this course, that you build, that you make it with a true blue background. Any images that you use, you give them credit, and you use high contrast colors, white, yellow, orange, against that blue background. On to Pixlr here. If I can share my screen with you. Pixlr is Pixlr is on the web, Pixlr, Pixlr.com, and I use this. I use the left button. It gives me the full editor. And if I want to reduce an image, I don't go into my presentation and grab the corner and reduce its image, because if it's a great big picture, if it's 1 meg or 2 megabytes of space, it is still going to be that size in the presentation. So to reduce the storage size of your presentation, I'm going to open an image in my computer, and I want to take this image and I want to reduce its size. And there's the image, and the way to reduce its size is to go to Image, Image Size, and then if I just change one number, say 250 pixels, 250 dots across the top, the other side, if I check the box, will automatically calculate the height. I will say OK, and now my picture is smaller. I've reduced it with image reducing software as opposed to grabbing the corner of it and trying to reduce it. I'm really not reducing its size. We have literally reduced the size of the image, of the size of this image, and now we can save it, and then we can insert it into our presentation or whatever we happen to be using. So if we have something that is too big, it is important for us to reduce its size in an image software such as Pixlr. There are some notes within the Week 1 wiki that should help you with this, and this should be one of the starts, if you've not used Pixlr before, how you can use it to reduce image sizes. So here are the foundations. Take a close look at the reading this week for foundations. Those are important. Those learning theories, you're going to apply them in the project here. And the instructional design, your final project, is going to be built around that instructional design, and you're going to have an opportunity to build a small lesson around it to get you started. And we will build the small lesson, and meanwhile we'll be using Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and other software for you to practice and develop some of your competencies in actually using software, the technology, the hardware and software of technology for your course building. Thanks very much for being here, and we will pick up with you very soon. Oh, by the way, there is one more piece in the recording, in the Google document, and that happens to be a question about how much you have used instructional design before now. I'm curious about whether you've used it in other courses, whether you've used it in other programs, or whether you use a design model in your classroom. So thanks for being here, and answer the third prompt that's in the document.